We're going to be having a Broncos-Cardinals watch party this Sunday. I got the green light from the bosses here, so if you'll be tuning in for it, if you want to join us, have a good time, because it's a lot more fun than whatever boring CBS broadcast duo they tried out there. Type me down in the comment section below. On today's episode of the Broncos Breakdown by Chat Sports, I'm going to be going through a fresh list of Hackett replacements. Not because Hackett had his worst performance against Kansas City. Honestly, it was probably his best job as a head coach, despite it being a loss. But I still believe we can all face the music, and Hackett is going to be fired after this season. Now, first things first, I want to get this name out in the open here, before we even run through my 5 replacements and some honorable mentions. Sean Payton is a wild card. No one has any idea, and no one has really any concrete idea of what his future holds, right? Whether or not he's going to A, return to head coaching again, B, be traded from the Saints, or are the Saints going to hold him hostage? No one really has a good idea of what is to come. Now, if Sean Payton does make it clear he would like to return, I think the Broncos might be interesting for 2 reasons. One, he went on some show about 2 months ago and talked about how he would do things differently. So clearly he believes he knows how this team could be better run with him at the steering wheel. 2, if let's say his more, lucrative opportunities like the Chargers or the Cowboys don't pan out, well, maybe the Broncos wouldn't be a bad consolation prize. So I'm just going to leave it at that. Now let's move on to some real, more concrete replacement options out there. First one up is Frank Reich. I'm a big fan of Frank Reich. I think Frank Reich, once they got the short end of the stick, I kind of see why he got fired in Indianapolis. Things were getting a bit stale, but he had a good year there. He had a good career with the Colts. He went 40-33-1. He's an offensive-minded guy, of course. He was the Eagles' OC back when they won a Super Bowl in 2016 to 2017. I do think he kind of got screwed over by Chris Ballard and the Colts of a constant revolving door at quarterback. He never really got to get settled in. He never really got to install a playbook that would be designed for one quarterback for more than just a season, right? So Russell Wilson would offer him some more, hopefully, well, we'll see, long-term security of, hey, I've got you for a little bit here. I'm not going to go from Scott Tolzien to Jacoby Brissett to Phillip Rivers to Matt Ryan to Carson Wentz in between, by the way. Now, I think Frank Reich is going to be the crown jewel of this upcoming head coaching hiring season. I believe he's going to be very sought after. Wouldn't be shocked if he decides to take a year off, sort of like Doug Peterson did, of just, you know what? Maybe it's best if I get to watch Red Zone for a year, and I'll reevaluate next year. And if I like the pool of the vacancies then, I'll jump in on one. All right, next replacement for Hackett if he is fired. How about Dan Quinn? How about the guy that I wanted back in February, right? Dan Quinn, if Frank Reich is going to, stick it on his couch for this entire upcoming year, I think he'd be the number 1 candidate this upcoming coaching cycle. I was surprised he did not get hired last year. I think it was more so not that he didn't get hired, but he actually didn't get an offer from a team he wanted to go to, because he knows, hey, you only really get 2 opportunities to be a head coach. And if he jumped into bed with a team he thought didn't have a good long-term future, well, that might be the end of him getting a chance to be an NFL head coach. Now, what I do like about Quinn is he can bring something that Hackett does not have when he got the job, which is head coaching experience. I know this is going to rub some people the wrong way, but he can learn from his mistakes. He went to the Super Bowl with the Falcons. He has a history of success. I know 43-42 overall isn't a very sexy head coaching record, but you know what? There's a lot of guys who, with their second chance, made the most of it. Like, say, Bill Belichick. After the Browns, learned from his mistakes. He's been doing pretty well, I think, up in New England. Now, Reich is ahead of Quinn in my book, but I really would be fine with either one. I think Frank Reich, just because in this day and age, offense is just a little bit louder and it's a little bit more, eye-catchy of a term. Like, oh, offense. But all in all, offense or defense, these coaches know football. You don't get this far into the NFL without knowing how the other side of the field works. So don't read too much into, I don't want Dan Quinn. He's a defensive guy. Come on. Seriously? if you're going to be an NFL head coach, you have an idea of like, is that a forward pass or is that a lateral? Like, no, that's just not, that's a big fallacy in my opinion. Now, who would you rather have? Dan Quinn or Frank Reich? If you had to pick one of these two cats, one of these two second go-around head coaches, who would it be? I'm going to go with Frank Reich. Curious to see what you have to say in the comments. All right, next Hackett replacement. How about we get some fireworks out? What about Jim Harbaugh? Now, last year, remember, he was big in the head coaching rumors of Minnesota Vikings were really close with him. The Raiders apparently had some interest. Never seemed like the Broncos made much of a push for Harbaugh. Now, Harbaugh, back when he was with the Niners, had a ton of success, and he's been doing great things lately for Michigan. But back in 2011 to 2014 with the Bay Area, he went 44-19. Guys, he took a 6-10 team to the NFC Championship game in his first season. I think that kind of got forgotten about. Harbaugh was an immediate success for San Francisco. 4 years there, 3 of the 4, they were in the NFC Championship game. And one of those 3, they went to the Super Bowl. So he had a long line of success going on in San Francisco. Now, there have been some rumors lately linking him back to the NFL. And, of course, he has shot those down because how can you not shoot them down when you're entering the college football playoffs? So just because he says he's staying at Michigan, well, you're the head coach of the team until you're not, right? Until a better offer comes across your way. Now, I will plug this. If Michigan were to win the national championship, don't rule out a return to the NFL. I mean, Harbaugh in an interview not long ago said the, creme de la creme is winning a Super Bowl. Winning a college football national championship is nice, but Super Bowl is number one. So if he checks that box, right, if he wins a natty, maybe he's going to feel fulfilled at Michigan and go, I kind of want to give it another go at the pros. And the Broncos might be a good opportunity with a good defense, and I believe I can bring out the best in Russell Wilson for the rest of his contract. Moving on here, this one is a big reach, and I just wanted to bring it up for 2 reasons. One, Mike Vrabel would be an excellent hire if he is available. If he is available. Now, if you're a Titans fan watching this, you're going to get up in arms and you're going to say, there's no way the Titans are firing Mike Vrabel. And I'm going to agree with you. Also didn't think they were going to fire their GM, though. So you kind of see where I'm going down this path of maybe there's something going on in Nashville of, you know what? The bar is here. And after losing 3 in a row, including an ass-kicking at home against the Jags, if the Titans were somehow to choke this AFC South division lead away and miss the playoffs, maybe Tennessee decides to completely shake things up. They recently extended the contract for Vrabel. They also did that for their GM, though. So this would be a shocking fire. No doubt about it. But so was Brian Flores kind of last year, right? Not maybe to the magnitude, but it just goes to show shocking fires do happen, right? Lovie Smith, I remember for the Bears, got fired after going 10-6. So just don't rule it out immediately. Now, if he is fired, this is the number one guy. I have Vrabel ahead of Reich, ahead of Quinn, ahead of everyone. Harbaugh. I think Mike Vrabel is a fantastic coach. He has gotten the best out of his team. And this Titans team, I mean, just every year you think they're done, you think they're out, and they show so much grit and so much fight the next week. Before we move on to my 5th and final candidate, I want to try something new here on the channel with you all. Can you please comment how long you've been subscribed if you are subscribed? I'm just curious to see, hey, I've been subscribed since Russell Wilson got traded, or since Fangio got fired, or since, I don't know, sometime last year when things weren't going well with Teddy Bridgewater. Whatever it is, whatever milestone, whatever date, just curious to know how long you've been subbed for. And if you're not subscribed, so sub right now, and then just put today's date down in the comment section. 5th and final Hackett replacement. What about Brian Flores? Right now, he is with the Pittsburgh Steelers, okay? He is currently a defensive analyst, outside linebackers coach, and he was that shocking fire last year for the Miami Dolphins. 24-25, but he definitely brought out the best of that Dolphins team that at one point was like, PETA was suing the NFL for the crime they were doing against Miami. Now, there were mixed reviews that came out of Miami when he was there, right? One is, hey, he was big. I don't like Tua. Tua's not the guy. I want Deshaun Watson. I can't work with Tua. Sure looks like Tua's actually okay right now. Mike McDaniel's bringing the best out of him. Tyreek Hill absolutely helps, but I think there is maybe a little bit more to that story of just, hey, Flores maybe didn't get just completely screwed over. Maybe it was a good decision to switch gears and go with Mike McDaniel. But I would not mind Flores at all. I think he'd be a very stable head coach. Right now, maybe Denver needs that. Some honorable mentions right here. So you're probably going to hear this name a bunch, and I didn't include it for a specific reason. That is Shane Steichen. That is the offensive coordinator for Philly. I don't think we should go with the route of 37-year-old offensive coordinator, and this is his first head coaching job. Why? That's what we just did. That's Hackett, right? He might be better than Hackett, right? Kevin O'Connell is in the same boat, and he's doing great in Minnesota, but you really want to fly close to the sun twice with young, inexperienced offensive coordinator? I don't know, Jim. Demeco Ryans, the DC for San Francisco. I mean, when Saleh left, everyone thought, oh, they're going to be bad on defense. No, Demeco Ryans maybe even has them better than they were when Robert Saleh was there. And then the guy right now at Mile High, Evero. I think it's a bit too soon. I know this defense has been awesome with him, but I think maybe just pump the brakes a little bit and not get too drunk on the Evero Kool-Aid. And then Mike Tomlin I threw on there for shits and giggles because I've seen this name tossed out a decent amount. Enough to put it on there to serve as a, if Pittsburgh does go below 500, I don't think we can rule out Tomlin being done. I know that's a bit surprising, but maybe Pittsburgh decides, you know what, Tomlin, you've had a fantastic career here. It's getting a bit dry, but it's probably best for both sides to split apart and go our separate ways. And if that's the case, I would love Tomlin in Denver. I know Tomlin hasn't been fantastic in Super Bowl winning lately, but that Pittsburgh Steelers team last year made the playoffs, and they were awful. Think about that. You're a really good coach if you get an awful team, in my eyes, to the playoffs. So I would take Tomlin in a heartbeat. I appreciate everyone for clicking on to today's show. Join us Sunday for our watch party here at the channel. We'll get it started about 15 or so minutes before kickoff, so make sure to join us then. I'll see you all on Sunday. Go Broncos.